and I'm nothing like you. Look at you go, I just adore you. I wish that I knew what makes you think I'm so special.
Welcome to the Steven Universe Retrospective. I'm Mr. Lindstrom, and last time in our first installment, we discussed about glowing gems, flying orbs, and fast food mascots that only a child could be terrifically traumatized by. If you're new here, glad to have you on board. I highly recommend watching part 1 as I'll basically be jumping off from that point. I also neglected to say this before, but major spoilers. And with that all said, let's begin. In an attempt to learn how to shapeshift, Steven turns his fingers into living miniature cats, but runs into problems when he can't transform his fingers back to normal. This episode is extremely cute, and sheds more light on the lore of the series, even if it doesn't appear to be so. We learn more about the anatomy of gem kind, that they can transform into pretty much any object, and that makes sense, seeing as they're just holographic projections with masks. And since Steven is a hybrid and unexperienced no less, it too makes sense that his transformations are more on the unpredictable side. And I love how Amethyst is just blamed for everything in this episode, and she doesn't even deny it. We also get to see more of Greg, that's always good. When we reach the climax of the episode, seeing Steven turn into this monstrous cat form is both simultaneously terrifying and adorable. And while the whole idea of Steven being turned into a multi-cat monstrosity sounds completely ridiculous on paper, which it does, I genuinely get invested in what will happen at the end, even though I know what's going to happen at the end. I'd say you're doing an awesome job if you could pull that off. Good on you, show. Steven tries to get his mojo on by talking to a girl whom he likes, but during an altercation ends up forced to be with the girl in a bubble he unintentionally created. Like with the previous episode, we learn more about Steven and his powers as he does. First it was the shield, now a bubble. So far, unlike his 3 guardians whose powers are more on the offensive side, Steven's powers seems to be more on the defensive side. After seeing Steven try and fail horribly at trying to talk to the girl, the gems know exactly what's going on. Vernon is the only one with a level head and tells Steven just to talk to her, and he does just that, but is forced to be with her in the bubble he created after an earthquake causes debris to fall and nearly crushes them. And the girl surprisingly takes it well, at least at first. I mean, I know I'd be screaming if that happened to me. It more so begs the question of how the population of Beach City is so nonchalant about monsters and gems. Well, maybe except for Ronaldo, but more on him later. Anyway, back onto the bubble. I love this. Most of this episode is just Steven and the girl, who later reveals her name to be Connie. Connie, in many ways, is Steven's opposite. She's sheltered and doesn't have much friends. She's also much more down-to-earth and reserved, even somewhat cynical compared to the more outgoing and optimistic Steven. This makes her a perfect foil to him. Steven desperately tries to fix the situation by thinking of solutions that turn out anything but successful. First trying to grab the crystal gems, but remember he shooed them away. Then asks for Lars and Sadie to help him, and Sadie is really the only one who helps out, as Lars acts more like a jackass, usually what he does. Also, he makes really weird and quite uncomfortable faces around children. Steven quite literally makes poor decisions on how to burst this bubble, like trying to harpoon it, or running straight into a roller coaster, the latter of whom causes him to fall into the bottom of the ocean. Steven says it's a good thing that the bubble is airtight, otherwise they'd suffocate to death. Yeah, that's definitely something you say to someone who's both clearly starting to panic and doesn't know how to swim. You're doing great, Steven. But what's not so great is the monster, who Steven recognizes to be the screaming that caused the earthquake. Steven tries yet again to calm Connie down by saying it's okay, but it's not okay. Steven, while the best intention, clearly doesn't know what he's doing, and she calls him out on it. She begins to cry, but Steven calms her by giving her a bracelet that she had forgotten about while at a parade that Steven saw her at for the first time. It's truly a tender moment as they genuinely bond even for just a moment. The bubble pops, they swim back up to the surface, but the monster too follows, and after a brief skirmish, it's defeated. It's an all-around amazing episode and a nice introduction to Connie, who would become Steven's best friend. The next episode, we have Steven being serious, or as serious as he can be. This is another episode I really don't have much to talk about. It's just a solid, fun episode. It's really the first time we see primarily Steven and Garnet and them having to work together, or the lack thereof. Steven, in trying to be serious, ends up messing up things more than he could ever imagine. And yeah, we do get more of that dumb kid shtick, but I tolerate it, because he does end up saving the day, and it's simply not by luck. He actually deduces how the trap room operates, and he turns out to be correct. It shows how tactical Steven can be, especially under pressure. All around, a good episode. In this episode, Steven aids Amethyst in an underground wrestling gig behind Garnet and Pearl's back, even if it means bending the rules. I remember not liking this episode as a kid, and now I can't for the life of me understand why. This episode's wild, and I mean that in a good way. We see Amethyst and how she can't stand to follow the rules of Garnet and Pearl, and how she essentially takes her anger out on unsuspecting opponents. Amethyst is obviously using her gem powers to make the matches anything but fair. Steven, who too is growing tired of Garnet and Pearl being sticklers, joins on the fray, and while he never fights, he clearly cheats so Amethyst can get the win playing the part of a rude accomplice. It's all fun and games, until Steven embarrasses Lars in front of the audience. A guilty Steven second guesses himself, though Amethyst says not to let people make you feel like garbage. However, everything comes to a screeching halt when Garnet and Pearl come onto the scene knowing full well what's going on. Amethyst, feeling that this is the only time for her to not deal with the rules, attacks Garnet, who proceeds to curb stomp her ass. It's only when Steven has a cute heart-to-heart moment that calms the situation down. Like with the previous episode, it's just a fun ride. This will also begin the character development of Amethyst, and that her wild attitude may have a deeper meaning to it. More on that later down the line. In this episode, Steven meets and befriends a magical pink lion who follows him around. This is yet another good episode and an introductory episode to Steven's lion, named, well, Lion. Lion is, for the most part, rather docile, acting more akin to a domestic cat than an aggressive predator. And man, is this episode just so damn adorable. I'm a cat person, so I can't help but have a soft spot for these type of episodes. I'd be lying to you, wink wink, if I said that Lion wasn't adorable. Hell, he even saved the day at the end, good on him. Something I've neglected to talk about is Ronaldo, who technically appeared since Fribo, and in Cat Fingers he reveals to have an online blog called Keep Beach City Weird, in which he documents strange and odd happenings around Beach City. Of course, I only say that because it's going to kind of be important later. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, mash that like button, and maybe turn on notifications when I finally get a schedule going on. And if you like what you see, maybe share it to your guy. Maybe share it to your girl. Maybe just share it to your friend, your dog, your mom. I don't care. Just spread the word. And you can all be pissed off at me together. See you next time.